Good evening. I would like to call the Flint Board of Education Committee of the Whole meeting to order at 5:30 p.m. Board members, as I call upon your name, please say present. Vice President McIntosh is absent. Trustee Gilbert.
Present.
Trustee Green is absent. Assistant Secretary Treasurer Del Maroney is absent. Secretary Booz. Present. Treasurer McIntyre.
Present.
Myself, Mike Neal, present. 4 present, 3 absent. At this time, we are hearing comments from the public. At this time, we are hearing comments from the public. We ask that you state the reason for addressing the board and that you limit your remarks to 3 minutes on matters within the authority of the board and not address individuals by name. The presiding officer of the board should have the right to limit the number of persons who may address the board on the same subject. Please state your name and address first before beginning to speak. Is there anyone here from the public who wishes to address the board? Thank you. We will proceed to our agenda. I now turn the floor over to Mr. Gilbert for the Human Resource Committee of the Whole.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Excuse me. I would like to call the Human Resource Committee of the Whole meeting to order. I will now call upon Superintendent Jones to present action to the board.
Good evening. I seek a motion and a second from the board to move the updated Resolution 1.10 personnel recommendations to the regular board meeting tonight, June 15, 2022, for adoption.
So moved. Second.
Is there any discussion?
What's
Sister Laura.
the update?
I'll call on Ms. Calloway.
Payroll person. What we need.
In the version we submitted, the update was highlighted. It's Myra, I think her last name is Bray. She's the payroll coordinator.
Is this an add-on?
It is.
Is there a reason for the add-on?
We need a payroll coordinator.
Or what's the timing? Like why? We've asked numerous times to not have add-ons to the agenda. I'm wondering what the justification is for adding something on and not having sufficient notice.
So between the time we had our last meeting, Treasurer McIntyre, and this meeting, the opportunity for someone actually got interviewed and actually was made an offer, and we will not, if we wait until July, then it's just going to prolong getting this person trained in order to receive the position.
I would just like to state again for the record to please, like, in order to maintain best practices, to just really to refrain from doing this. We've been doing, having a good track record so far, but I would just really like to stress, moving forward, to have more of a heads up and just to maintain best practices, please.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any further discussion? I would like to say also that our last HR meeting that we didn't have a quorum. So I just wanted to make a point of that the board and the members of the subcommittee understand that. Madam
I
President.
think what I've been going through board policy and looking at how we are using our board comment time, with the board member here any comment, that is the time that you talk about what's going on in your committee, you know, what you need in your committee, what you'd like to see happen in your committee. So then we kind of be right now, we don't know what's going on in each committee, so we had to have some of that type of information. Then what would happen is that Mr. Jones and I do one-on-ones, and we set the agenda. So we have to have, so we set the agenda, the president and the superintendent. So we can get this information to the superintendent or myself, so when we're going through having these discussions, we can put those in. So I think we can kind of use that time a little bit to kind of update us on your negotiation, your committee meetings and stuff like that, and when you don't have a quorum and there's something need to be put on the agenda, then I think that would help.
Brother Chris?
Yes, Board Member Gilbert, I agree with what was just said about use of the time as to what's going on in the committees, you know, during our comment period. But when they're not meeting, not much is going on. So, and I understand some people are just not showing up for whatever reason, but the issue about yourself and the superintendent setting the agenda for our subcommittees, I would think the chairperson would be involved in that.
Point of information.
Sure.
Mr. Gilbert, a point of information.
Yes.
We just made a statement about we're approving the personnel, not the agenda that you're getting ready to talk on. It was just a conversation we're having, but we can have that conversation at the end. And we are doing the approval for personnel changes.
Point of information.
I think he misunderstood what we were saying.
Point of information, Madam Chair. Brother Chris, I think that I kind of understand what
Okay.
he's saying, because it's that the information that if you meet, then you bring the information forward. That's what I heard you say earlier. So, but if you do not meet, then you have to acknowledge or deal with walk-ons or add-ons or whatever they are. And so in this particular case, for this add-on in the HR department, Ms. Galloway and I had a conversation, and because of that, I supported that. So that's why I said that, is that if we can have the people, it's not what we would like to do, but we also have a lot of positions that are open, and if Ms. Galloway and superintendent say that this person should come forth, we would like to try to get that person on board as soon as possible. And I think I've heard you say this many times. They have the expertise to make that judgment, so it's a trust factor. So not to negate what Sister Laura said, I think that's critical. We don't want that to be the norm, we want that to be the exception. So that's all I got to say. Go ahead.
And I just want to be clear, I'm talking about bringing it to the agenda. Once you see that something needs to be brought to the agenda and put on the agenda, it has to come to the president or superintendent and the president. Then we work with the executive administration, and then we can get all that done because we're on a schedule, and then they don't have to go. So we have to have that. That's the process. You bring it before the president and the superintendent, and we can see how we can get that on.
Yeah, and to reiterate, that's what I was really trying to emphasize, not this being a criticism of anybody or any particular subcommittee, is that we just be very mindful of the bylaws and the process and the procedures, and that we just really strive to be able to follow them, because I think we've been doing a good job, you know, trying to bolster that and, you know, maintain a good look and be an efficient board. So that's really what I was talking about. And I just want to say that speaking to some of the subcommittee meetings that have not been able to meet, there have been all sorts of circumstances out of our control and, you know, transitions and things like this. And so I would just request that moving forward, you know, we try to have the subcommittee meetings like like we should. Keep our hearts in the right place. And then when the members on the subcommittee meeting, when the board is polled for those times, the actual members of the subcommittee meetings can make those meeting times, because there have been a couple of times when I've explicitly stated I cannot meet during the day, and the meetings have been set during the day. So I would just, just moving forward, just in the spirit of cooperation and collegiality.
Any further discussion? Seeing no further discussion, the motion to move resolution number 1.10, personnel recommendations with the updated information to the regular meeting for adoption will be conducted by a roll call vote. As I call your name, please say yes or no to approve the motion. Trustee Green is absent. Assistant Secretary Treasurer Dale Maroney.
Yes.
Secretary Booz.
Yes.
Treasurer McIntyre.
Yes.
President McNeil.
Yes.
Vice President McIntosh is absent. And myself, Trustee Gilbert, is yes. Motion passes by a vote of 5 yes and 0 no. Thank you, Mr. Jones.
Thank you, board members.
Seeing no further business, I declare the Human Resource Committee of the Whole adjourned. I now turn the floor over to Treasurer McIntyre for Finance and Operations Committee of the Whole portion of the agenda. Thank you, Ms. Gilbert.
I would like to call the Finance and Operations Committee of the whole meeting to order. I will now call upon Superintendent Jones to present action to the board.
All right. Good evening again. I seek a motion and a second from the board to move Resolution 11.29, authorization to extend contract for payroll services to the regular meeting tonight, June 15th, for adoption.
Support.
Pardon?
I'm sorry, you didn't make a motion.
So move.
Make a motion. Yeah.
No, he's asking for a
He
motion.
said
So I
so.
need someone to say so
So
moved
moved.
and then a
Yeah,
second.
second. Sorry about that.
Okay.
No problem.
It's
Yes.
hot. It's hot.
Is anyone moving?
Did it second? Okay.
Oh, wait, who moved it? Okay, so moved, second. Okay, it has been properly moved and second. Is there any discussion? Seeing no further discussion, the motion to move Resolution 11.29, authorization to extend contract for payroll services to the regular meeting for adoption will be conducted by a roll call vote. As I call your name, please say yes or no to approve this motion. Trustee Green is absent. Trustee Gilbert.
Yes.
Vice President McIntosh is absent. Assistant Secretary Treasurer Del Maroney.
Yes.
Secretary Booz.
Yes.
President McNeil.
Yes.
Myself, Treasurer McIntyre, yes. Motion passes by a vote of 5 yes to 0 no. Did I sign that? Did I sign that vote? Okay, I'm sorry. All right. Please continue, Mr. Jones.
I seek a motion and a second from the board to move Resolution 11.30, lawn and snow maintenance services to the regular board meeting tonight, June 15th, 2022, for adoption.
So moved.
So move.
We need a second.
I second.
Has been properly moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Pastor Gilbert.
Treasurer McIntyre, Superintendent Jones, and to Pete, I noticed, I got your email about the trash thing that they threw out of Central, out there on the, all over the place. And so how's that dealt with, because it's closed? So who's going to clean it up? Who's going to straighten that out?
So our maintenance services,
But before you answer that,
Oh, yes,
okay,
sir.
just, and then you got these trees right there between Central and Whittier, and they just, and so I know it's closed, I know it's probably more than likely going to be tore down for our vision of the district. But, you know, what gives there as far as the lawn and snow removal? I don't know how that contract really, the details of it, you know?
Sure. Go ahead, Pete.
Thank you. To do additional scope of work, which would be the removal of the vegetation and the trees and whatnot, they're capable of doing the work, but it would be at an additional cost. That scope of work is not included in the contract. Regarding the litter and some of the other debris, that will be picked up tomorrow morning.
Thank you, Pete.
Just to add to that, just so you know, our maintenance team handles that. CSM handles the cleanup of any litter or anything like that. So that's not ACE. That would be CSM.
Okay,
Yes, sir.
thank you.
Trustee Del Maroni?
Thank you. So as the lawn maintenance service is mowing the lawn, and they come across, I don't know, a potato chip bag, or whatever it might be, a garbage bag, do they stop and pick that up, or they just cut it all?
Yes, they do. No,
They
they
do.
do. They do pick up litter prior to the mow. And as far as what they're talking about at Flint Central, though, that's a special case. That's from the vandals throwing the material out of the building.
So it's a special case, meaning they don't do it?
We will have that picked up prior to them mowing the next time. That's why I
Okay.
wanted to get it done first thing tomorrow. And but that's where that came from. They haven't mowed over that, and they do a litter pickup prior to their mowing the various sites that we have.
Okay. And through the chair here to Superintendent Jones, Superintendent Jones, I complimented you on graduation day of getting those paint cans picked up there on the grounds during the commencement service or just prior to. You had indicated to me that there was, those cans were out there for some type of project.
That's what,
Something-
yeah, that's what the principal stated.
Okay. I think you and I both had agreed that those were very old cans. One was open, probably filled mostly with water. I find it hard to believe that any project was going on. I didn't see any ladders, I didn't see any scaffolding, I didn't see any plastic that was covering windows. We just don't know what kind of project it was.
I can do a little bit, I can get some more research on that. However, they weren't out there during the prom, which was about a week or two before,
Yeah.
because a lot of us were there for the prom, and scholars were, actually that area was clean during that time.
You
So
had
it had to be something between the prom, which was late May. It was late May. So between the 2 weeks, something
Yeah.
transpired.
Okay. All right, thank you.
President McNeil?
I just want to speak to the board in public. Every time we're talking about vacant property, when we started talking about having those, the first thing they're gonna do is start to vandalizing building to make you jump and do this here. This is nothing unusual. The minute you start talking about selling property vacant, they're gonna go over there and throw stuff out the window. They're gonna start vandalizing. They do that for whatever motive they want to do it. But they always do that around that time, and we aware of it, that they was gonna do that. It's nothing new, because it's a tactic that they use. They're going to the abandoned building and start to creating this type of conversation. And we cleans it up as usual, or sometimes the community will pitch in and cleans it up. The lawn service does a great job. When they come through, you can look out your window if you're in the classroom, they picking up as they go along doing the lawn and the snow and stuff. So I just want to clear that up. I have witnessed them doing it.
Is there any further discussion for 11.30? Seeing no further discussion, the motion to move Resolution 11.30, lawn and snow maintenance service, to the regular board meeting for adoption will be conducted by a roll call vote. As I call your name, please say yes or no to approve this motion. Trustee Green is absent. Trustee Gilbert?
Yes.
Vice President McIntosh is absent. Assistant Secretary Treasurer Del Maroney?
Yes.
Secretary Booz?
Yes.
President McNeil?
Yes.
And myself, Treasurer McIntyre, sorry. I know, right? It's not my real name anyway, so, you know. Motion passes by a vote of 5 yes to 0 no. Please continue, Mr. Jones.
I seek a motion and a second from the board to move Resolution 11.31, Transportation Services, to the regular meeting tonight, June 15th, 2022, for adoption.
So moved.
Support.
It's been properly moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Pastor Gilbert.
Treasurer McIntyre, if a bus breaks down, it does the same bus people that has the contract, do they come and make sure that that
Yes, sir.
is sufficient?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Absolutely.
It's not another contractor or vendor, right?
No.
Okay.
Any other discussion?
Yes. So, in here, it talks about a fixed price, I'll call it a fixed price, and then a price if we take care of the gasoline and other things of that nature. So, I don't know where we're at. Are we going to be paying for the gas or the other company? Do we have a choice?
No, we won't be, go ahead.
Yeah, it would probably be beneficial for us due to the price of gas and all the extra things that are listed there, special needs adaptive equipment. That could mean a lot of different things. The quote did not specify exact detail as to what that could cost us a lot more, just those adaptive needs for some of those buses. So it would be more beneficial for us just to stick with the regular quote like we had before and not take the discount and us be responsible for the fuel. I don't even know if we even have fuel bays that could even support those right now and the regulations around that with fuel and those tanks. I don't think that we're in a position to actually take that discount that they offer.
So are we voting on alternate number 1, where
No.
we're paying for the fuel?
The proposal,
Okay, so in the midst of prices rising, why would we want to get into that situation?
We're not paying for gas. We're not voting to pay for gas.
yeah, we're
Wow.
we're trying to go with the proposal and not take the alternate.
Okay,
But I wanted to have full transparency to you, to the board, that you did have that option out there. It's not one that I would recommend. My recommendation is to stick with the proposal of the $3,073,368.
and they're taking care of the gas?
They take care of everything.
And they're taking care of whatever, maybe, what are fleet mirrors? And age of fleet mirrors, current contract language, under alternate number 1.
Yep.
What is that, age of fleet mirrors?
I have no idea what a fleet mirror is,
Okay,
but it's not something I wanted to get into paying for either. Because if we take the discount, then we're responsible for putting those onto the
Right, right.
buses. So if something goes wrong there, my concern was, A, the price of fuel and the special needs adaptive equipment. Those two items alone could become very excessive and overcome,
Sure.
cumbersome for each bus.
yeah.
And
Okay,
we don't have a maintenance facility to help, install those or anything.
okay, yeah.
Any further discussion? Ms.
How
Booz?
many bus drivers do we have? Or do you know?
That varies.
It varies?
It's a fluid position, so that varies. And as we move to the future, we will be having conversation about trying to make sure our scholars can get around to any school in the district. So right now, it varies.
Okay.
It varies. And we could have a new bus driver in summer school, so it just varies.
Okay.
It's been hard for them
They
to keep.
basically part-time too.
And yes, and it's been hard for them to keep folks as
as
well.
needed.
Yes.
And page 44 of your booklet does have the routes and the route count. So I think that's how many students are in there, so you can, well, that's how many routes they're doing, so I'd assume that's one
Right,
bus
so
driver
it's hard to say
plus-
bus drivers, but it, you know, we do know our routes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are there any further discussions? I would just like to point out that transportation is one of those things, one of those discretionary items that we don't have to provide. And MASB has always been very explicit about, you don't want to cut into the 3Bs, the buses, bands, and what was the basketball? Balls.
Yeah.
I didn't like saying that, but, you know. And so it is discretionary, and unfortunately, because of the way that charter schools and the way that Michigan law is set up, if we provide transportation for our scholars, we have to provide it for everybody in our district, including the parochial schools, the private schools, and all that kind of thing. So it's just the way that the legislation is set up. It's unfortunate, although I do feel that it's, you know, I want our kids to have safe and reliable transportation, absolutely. So just to, you know, it's $3 million plus, but it's one of those things that we have to do because we're a public district, and then that's our responsibility, and that's the right thing to do. Just wanted to put that out there. Thank you.
Thank you.
I agree.
I'll just say it sounds like we need a change in state law.
Oh, we need a lot of state law changes, absolutely. But any further discussion? Seeing no further discussion, the motion to move resolution 11.31, transportation services, to the regular board meeting for adoption will be conducted by a roll call vote. As I call your name, please say yes or no to approve this motion. Trustee Green is absent. Trustee Gilbert?
Yes.
Vice President McIntosh is absent. Assistant Secretary Treasurer Del Maroney?
Yes.
Secretary Booz?
Yes.
President McNeil?
Yes.
Myself, Treasurer McIntosh, geez, what is going on? I am hot and tired.
That's okay.
Myself, Treasurer McIntyre. Okay, motion passes by a vote of 5 yes to 0 no. Thank you, Mr. Jones. Seeing no further business, I declare the Finance and Operations Committee of the Whole meeting adjourned. I now turn the floor over to Pastor Gilbert for the Academics Committee of the Whole meeting. Time of adjournment is 5:58.
Thank you, Treasurer McIntyre. I would like to call the Academics Committee of the Whole meeting to order. I will now call upon Superintendent Jones to present action to the board.
Yes, sir. I seek a motion and a second from the board to move Resolution 25, .18, Schools of Choice, Section 105, to the regular board meeting tonight, June 15, 2022, for adoption.
Support. So move.
Support.
We all tired.
I know.
Has it been properly moved and seconded?
Yes.
Is there any further discussion? Seeing all minds are clear, seeing no further discussion, the motion to move Resolution 25.18, School of Choice, Section 105, to the regular meeting for adoption will be conducted by a roll call vote. As I call your name, please say yes or no to approve the motion. Myself, Trustee Gilbert, yes. Trustee Green is absent. Assistant Secretary Treasurer Dale Maroney.
Yes.
Secretary Booz.
Yes.
Treasurer McIntyre.
Yes.
President McNeil.
Yes.
And Vice President McIntosh is absent. Motion passes by a vote of 5 yes and 0 no. Thank you, Mr. Jones.
Thank you, sir.
Seeing no further business.
Point of information.
Yes.
We're still under the Committee of the Whole meeting.
Yes.
And we're about to leave that to go to our regular board meeting.
Yes.
So in light of some information that has been provided, I think, to all the board members, I would like to reconsider the,
First, point of order. Point of order. We're wrapping up the Academics Committee of the Whole meeting portion of the Committee of the Whole meeting. It goes back to the president. Then the president will, you would be given leave to speak through the president, but it has to leave the Academics
Okay.
Committee of the Whole meeting
All right.
first. We're not, and then we have to go to the end of the meeting, but we're not there yet.
right, okay.
Thank you, Treasurer McIntyre. You're absolutely correct. Thank you, Mr. Jones. Seeing no further business, I declare the Academics Committee of the Whole meeting adjourned. I now turn the floor over to President McNeil.
The regular board meeting will begin at 6:30 PM. It is now 6 o'clock. Are we taking any questions?
Yeah. So, thank you,
Yes.
Board President. So I will move that, in light of some information that's been given to us, to reconsider bringing to the board this evening the action that was taken to allow for attorney payments for council person for councilperson Laura.
What?
Point of information.
I have no idea.
Madam Chair. Through you, Madam Chair, to Trustee Del Maroney, would you clarify that a little bit?
Yeah, so I think at our last meeting, we took action to approve to take from the Committee of the Whole
Correct.
to the regular board meeting, the payment of attorney fees for Councilwoman McIntyre,
Trustee.
Trustee McIntyre. And in light of some information that has been provided to us, I think we should take another look at that action that we took at that previous meeting. So I would move to reconsider.
Information you're talking about, that
We were
been
talking,
provided.
we were talking about paying the, do I want to say wages for the attorneys regarding the incident?
Point of order, Madam Chair. If we're going to have a general discussion, that's one thing, but we should not have discussion before the motion. So
Did he make a motion? He's discussing.
that-
Are you
that-
making a motion?
What is this
That's
motion?
point of
Understand
order.
a thing he's saying.
I'm just giving a point of order. He still has the floor, so that's up to
Okay,
him.
but Mr. Darrell
There's no
Marone, are you
motion.
making a motion? I'm the president. I'm getting clarity
Right.
here.
So
Are you making a motion or what?
to reconsider our action to approve for the payment of attorney fees. Nobody remembers that?
Point of order or information. I don't understand what you're saying. It's not that I don't remember anything. You're utterly confusing right now. I don't understand what you're trying to do.
I'm trying to,
You're calling me a council person, you're
point of
doing all
order.
sorts of, I don't know what
I'm
you're
sorry.
talking about, Chris.
Point of order, I'm chairing this meeting right now. You
Point of-
made a motion, and you're making a motion, he has made a motion
Right.
to do something. And is there a second to the motion?
Yeah, but point of order, you didn't, is there a second?
I just asked a
I
second. You
didn't
guys
hear-
got to listen.
I don't
I
even know
just
what the
asked if
motion
there's a second.
I didn't
Stop
hear
trying-
you.
Well,
I
you
didn't-
hear me now. I just said, is there's a second? 3 times.
I second the motion.
Okay.
Point of order, can we have the motion restated, please? I don't understand,
Yeah, because
I'm
it's
not
confusing.
I don't, know what it is.
So, as a board, we took action to approve the payment for attorney fees for Board Member McIntyre to move it to the committee of the whole, or to the regular board meeting to pay for attorney fees regarding, I'll call it the incident between herself and then President Danielle Green. There's been given some information to at least me, and I think it was CC'd to everyone else. And this additional information, I think, may change what our decision will now be.
What information?
I don't know, did others receive a bill from Board Member Danielle Green about her attorney fees, asking for a payment for those?
Point of information.
What does that have to do with mine?
Wait a minute, we got to be clear when we did it. This was approved. It has been approved. For, McIntyre was not even present during the vote. It was approved. And the attorney has been selected and probably, I don't know what else to say. We approved this already. So what do you want us to do now? A point of,
Point of order, Madam Chair. Now, I guess first of all, the bottom line is that we started discussion, you didn't open the floor for the discussion. I'll let that go because Brother Chris made the motion. And then he and Treasurer McIntyre had dialogue, which is good, which they should. But the thing is that the only way you can reconsider a motion is that those that voted in the affirmative. That's the only way. And I was the only no vote on that. So Brother Chris was an affirmative vote. He was a yes vote. So now you have to get,
we have one here as a yes. And I remember him being a no.
you have to get 2/3 or majority. I think it's a 2/3 to reconsider. And that's what Trustee Del Maroney is asking. That's what his motion was about. Then we can open it up for discussion if we get to 2/3.
Okay.
That's the way it's
Point of
supposed to work.
information. You did vote it no.
Yes.
Following discussion, the motion to approve Resolution 11.26, authorization of legal service tonight, June the
It was
9th,
approved.
was adopted by roll call vote 4-1.
Right.
And Booz, Del Marone, McIntyre, McNeil, and Gilbert was a no. So what are you saying now?
That's what Brother Chris is doing. He voted in the affirmative. So in order to bring that back, we have to vote to bring it back or not. But you have to do it in a procedural way, and if we don't do that, then we shouldn't be discussing it.
That's not what
And
Robert Rules
that,
says. Okay. All right, we got clarity from Robert Woods. We have to make a motion to reconsider the vote.
that's what I just did.
Okay. So we're in discussion. Are we done with discussion? 'Cause I don't
No.
know how to prove this. So what do you?
I'm just wondering, did all board members receive a copy of the 2 receipts from Board Member Green?
No.
I did.
I had to check my emails and stuff. I've been so swamped. I didn't know. But you're saying that you want to reconsider,
Yes,
and you need a motion to reconsider. He's second. We having discussions.
yeah.
Now we're You pretty much got your answers, then what we need to do now?
Well,
We need to take a vote now. We need-
What does Ms. Green's attorney fees have to do with the discussion or the vote that we took? There's nothing, that has nothing to do with what we were
well,
talking about. I have not received any communication.
okay. So right now, there are,
We had a motion to reconsider.
right,
But
Point of
we're
order.
discussion.
Point of
We're
order, Madam
discussion.
Chair.
Okay.
If we are going to give one of the floor, let us say what we have to say so everybody can get a chance.
I'm trying to do that, Mr.
Okay,
Let me get cleared here since I'm doing the meeting. So now we in discussion. Is there any more discussion?
well,
Chris was still-
to help out with the answer, what I received were two bills. They total $6,000. And I had said during that vote, during the discussion, that we might be opening, or to some effect, a can of worms where we might be liable for both attorney fees. I think number one, well, and what it has to do with yours
Thank you.
is fairness to both board members, and not only that, but keep in mind future board members. So, so now we have the information of now another board member requesting attorney fees. We don't know, in my opinion, I think we should get an attorney's opinion,
We have,
our board attorney's opinion, to say, you really can't do that. Yes, you can. I don't believe that we've gotten that. So that's all, that I'm saying. We've got a bill for $6,000, and now we're just opening a can of worms. And I think we need some clarification to be fair to both and also to get a legal opinion.
Any more discussion?
Thank you, Madam President. As I said before, I didn't support the motion in the original. I still don't. Now, if it's legal, then I want the documentation or the law or the statute or the council to come in and say that this is what the board should do, or they're obligated to do it under policy or whatever, and I'll let it go. But Brother Chris is right. That was my thinking. That was one of I just didn't say anything about it, is because I was trying to be careful not to antagonize the situation, because I voted no. But I just think that we're headed in the wrong direction if we're going to cover one trustee's legal fees and then not take care of the other trustees' legal fees. And that's what, it is a thing of fairness if we look at it from that standpoint. But then also for me, I just voted no because I felt like it was a rope around the board's neck. That's the way I just never said it, and that's the way that I feel. But how can you do that for Trustee McIntyre and not for Trustee Green? In my mind, then we're in a difficult position. And if from a legal standpoint, if it must be done, it has to be approved by the board, then that's the way it will have to go. But I don't think that because it was approved, then we'll have to come back and put it on the agenda and then deal with Trustee Green's legal fees. Now, that's just the way I feel about it. Thank you.
Is there any more discussion? We done had a round of discussion, so let's move for the vote. Board members in favor of the motion that was on the floor by Trustee Gibbert to rescind the vote that we passed.
Point of
authorizing-
information.
It was Trustee
I think it was my-
Del Marone.
It was my
Trustee
motion.
Demaroni to rescind will be taken by roll call vote as I call your name.
To a point of information, to reconsider.
Yeah, to reconsider.
Okay, you had said rescind.
You said
Yeah, okay, reconsider. By roll call vote, Trustee Demaroni?
To reconsider, yes.
Yes. Trustee Gibbert?
to reconsider, yes.
Trustee McIntyre,
No.
Linda Booth,
Yes. Yes to reconsider?
no, the question is, do you want to take away the vote that we had? The vote that we had?
Point of order. I
yes.
think her vote was clear.
Yes,
No,
that's,
Do you?
You don't need to try and change your vote.
change your
I'm
vote,
not trying
that's
to vote,
right.
she looked at me though she
Point
was
of
trying
order,
to
Madam
clear.
Chair, you can't do that. That's out of order. I'm
Ms.
trying to,
Linda Booth, speak for yourself, please.
Okay, I'm voting to reconsider because, as he stated, we have to see if the attorney will approve us doing that in her behalf.
And my vote is a no. I get you the document where the attorney recommended that we support paying McIntyre's attorney fee. The regular board will begin meeting at 6:30.
point of order,
Wait a minute, what we do?
Madam Chair. You
So we
have,
have 3 yes and 2 no's.
so the motion failed.
It takes
No, it
2/3
doesn't
to
I'm
pass.
sorry, I'm sorry.
2/3 is 4.
Point of order. I believe to reconsider, it's simply a majority.
It is.
Okay, so
It is.
three pass
To
and 2
change
no's.
it might be 2/3. I'm
So
not
3
sure on that.
pass. 3 pass.
Clarify that again?
3, you passed it, 3 passed, and it was 2 no's. The question would be now,
Now is, are you taking up, restate the motion, which is authorization of legal services?
you did that wrong. So I would have Attorney Trone to give the opinion what we had on both cases.
Madam Chair, if I can
Yes.
ask, just, could you make it a priority, please?
I can request Attorney Trone to do that, but what
Thank
the
you.
priority would be, I won't know. However, keeping in mind that we had approved this, the attorney that was selected has been, submitted her invoices for payment and is working. So we would have to do something about that, but I'm quite sure Attorney Trone would tell you his recommendation why we made the motion that we did in regards to the assault on Laura McIntyre. So I will make sure that would be done.
Well, just a point of information, maybe someone can help me down this road. So we've passed for the reconsideration. What are we going to do with that original motion? Does that come back for a vote now, or? And at the same time, are you saying we've
Are you
already?
doing the reconsideration, and I did not, you want us to take the vote? You reconsider it, now you want to take the vote, should we pass this motion?
Right. That's correct.
Okay, so now going back to the motion, there's a motion on the floor to pass, or,
You can make a motion.
okay, I can make a motion on the floor. We have to make the motion because we made a motion to reconsider. There's a motion on the floor to accept the reconsideration concerning the attorney for Ms. Laura McIntyre.
Are you
I
making a
think-
motion?
Yes,
Point of order,
I just made a motion.
to do what?
To,
Authorization of legal fees?
yes,
Okay, so we're kind of back to the original motion, and that original motion was made at a cow meeting
Right.
to move it to the full board. Okay.
okay.
We'll have some discussion after a second.
Yep, that's right.
I will second that.
Okay. Any discussion? Trustee?
Madam
Gilbert?
President, I know that the situation, the incident is delicate. I know it's a tough burden for the board. It has been, but we're trying to move on. But at the same time, we've got to come forth as one that, number one, we want to be as fair and an impartial, whereby justice will seek its place of righteousness. That's the way it should go forth. And point of information, Madam Chair.
Are we doing this, we passed the motion, are we doing a discussion?
We're in
Oh,
discussion right
I just
now,
want to make
that's all.
sure, okay.
And so, the point of it, and a point of order as well. We have to maintain order. Now, Trustee McIntyre, I can understand, my heart goes out to her, but that's still no reason for that to just happen. Because this is where it should be discussed, in the open, where the public can see or hear or whatever. And we're trying to move on. That's what we're trying to do. Myself, I just want to know, number one, is it legal? Number two, and even if it is legal, it doesn't mean that I think it's right. Because there's a lot of things legal in this world that's not right. So I'm just saying that it's better for us to get it out in the open so we can move on, so we're not bogged down, because we made a lot of progress in the last 3 weeks or so, or 4 weeks or so. But we got to deal with it, and that's my reason. And Trustee McIntyre, you know, my heart is open, my heart goes out. I've prayed for her, I prayed for Trustee Green. I love them both. Now, that's just me. Now, maybe everybody don't feel the way I do, but I'm not concerned about what other folk feel. But I am, but I am concerned.
Point of information, order.
Yes.
We've been advised by our legal, we are not to use either one of them name in public. We have to respect their name. So if we can just say a board member acted, but don't say their name in public.
But for point of information, Madam Chair, how many times?
In regards to this case.
Okay, I understand that, and I will abide by that.
Okay.
But how many times has Trustee McIntyre said different ones' names? All of us have. Maybe I've used it more than anybody else, because I want people to know what I say. I'm willing to stand by what I say, and I'm willing to back up what I say. Now, I may be wrong, and I will humble myself and say I made a mistake, please forgive me. But until that happens, we have the right as trustees and fiduciary to speak on the behalf of the children in this district. And we cannot allow, just because we have different views and different positions, to allow it to become personal.
Point of information. What I'm saying is that a lot of things has been going wrong on this board for the last year and a half. And what this board is committed to doing is working by policy and getting legal opinion. And I respect what you have said. One of the things we are working on is trying not to call people's name out in a case that's open. That's all they ask us not to do, because it creates other errors. So I can't stop you from doing that. It's not what this person is doing. It's just we're being held accountable. I'm being held accountable. I'm going to follow policy. You can proceed.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I rest my case. My mind's clear.
And one reason why we
You
don't
haven't spoken.
mention,
Go ahead, Ms. Lou.
one reason why we don't mention names is to protect the person involved as well. So, you know, I try not to mention anybody's name.
Chris Demarone.
So one of those worms in that can that we're trying to open up right now is, imagine this, we're talking about 2 board members right now, okay? So if we leave here tonight and one board member hits another board member's car, and for some reason they decide to sue each other, are we going to be liable to pay their attorney fees? If someone slips and falls on a sidewalk at one of our schools, board member or not, are we required to pay their attorney fees? before judgment is rendered? I don't think so. Generally, what happens is one will bring I'm not an attorney, but I think what generally happens is a lawsuit is brought forward, and the winning party somewhere along the line is also suing for attorney fees. You know, I don't even know if there's a case that's been opened in any court where a case has been brought forward against one member or the other. But we, you know, we just need to consider the different scenarios, and I don't know what that legal opinion reads. If it's not very long, maybe you could, you know, read it to us. I didn't know we had gathered a legal opinion.
Is there any more discussion?
Is there that legal opinion?
I will get you the information. She has the floor now.
Oh, sorry.
So I'm kind of at a loss for words because I really think I underestimated the ignorance of my colleagues, two in particular. And Chris, as you said yourself.
Point of order, Madam Chair.
You are not a lawyer. And to
Point of
equate-
order, Madam Chair.
and to-
Now,
Point of order, Mr. Gibbons.
all I'm saying is, we don't want to call names.
I'm not calling names, I'm just
You
stating
don't
facts.
want, you don't want to call other board members ignorant,
I didn't-
whether you name them or
No,
not.
I didn't, that's not, see, again, reading comprehension
I
is
believe
fundamental.
Point of
that-
order, point of order.
Trustee McIntyre, you are out of order.
Order, Mr. Gibbons, point of order. Let me govern this board.
Well, we
Go
gonna
ahead
be here
and
all
speak.
night with this then.
I didn't say we
because
were ignorant.
if
I
she
said I
does say
underestimated
two
it.
of us, and it's only three of us left or four of us left, then it could be any four of us that it is.
Can we refrain from name calling?
I
It's
didn't
almost
call it,
6:30.
so-
We have to go into the next.
So, to equate me being assaulted with a traffic accident is just a little insulting. So I'm just, and I did not call either of you ignorant. I mean, so just reading comprehension, listening comprehension skills, pay attention.
Point of
We
information.
do have to,
What's your point?
What was
What's
it
the-
that you were saying that you were underestimating something about two board members?
I said I underestimated levels of ignorance. I did not say that anyone in particular was ignorant. There's a difference, there's a distinction. So please
Well,
let me
point of
finish.
information,
Point of-
Madam Chair,
point of, Mr. Gibbons, what's your point?
I think you need to make that distinction
I
then.
did not make the
She doesn't
distinction.
have
I'm
to.
not,
This is her conversation.
I'm just making a statement. It is my right, I have the floor, especially after the ignorant comments that were made. Now, ignorant means that you do not understand some of the things that you're talking about. I did not say that you were ignorant, I said some of your comments were, because they are factually inaccurate and they're not correct. And as you yourself said, you're not lawyers. And so you're making these assumptions and making sort of subjective hypotheses about things that you know absolutely nothing about. And so I would just recommend that you be very careful about what you say in the future, because this is all on record. And you are being heard, and people can hear what you have to say. And to say that, you know, like a traffic accident, a fender bender, I was assaulted in a public meeting on the Flint Community School grounds. That's a very serious action to take place. It wasn't an interaction, it wasn't an altercation, trustee, between two board members. One board member assaulted another board member. That does not mean that both board members are entitled to counsel, especially when one has been assaulted by another. So I suggest that you get your facts straight. So at this point, there's nothing really more to say about that, because it'll just have to be dealt with during more formal channels. And once again, I just really wish that my colleagues would read their board packets and read the information that they do have and read it more carefully with a better understanding than to gossip behind the scenes and to have private conversations and to make.
Point of order.
There's not a point of order.
There's no point of
What do you mean
order.
it's not a point of order?
Point-
All
you said
right,
it's-
point of information then. I'm
Point
not,
point of order, Madam Chair.
Wait a minute,
You-
hold
you-
on one
you-
second.
He said
Mr.
point of
Gilbert,
order.
Mr. Gilbert,
No,
let me
no,
finish
you can't
correcting
do
myself.
that.
Mr.
You
Mr.
can't do that.
Mr.
A point of order is a
Gilbert,
privileged motion.
Did you want a point of order, or did you send a point of information?
Yeah,
Because she
you-
said
you
it
have a
twice.
right to
Let me
ask him
finish.
that,
I understand
but
where
you
you're coming
cannot
from,
do that
but
to the
you're gonna have
trustee.
to respect me and allow me
And
to
you're
get
going to
my
have to
words out.
respect me as
Yes, but
well.
allow me to
I
get
have
my
not
words out.
disrespected you.
Mr. Gilbert, Mr. Demaroni, you was
So it's
trying
no
to say,
reason
you
for
was
you to
saying
get
point
bent out of
order, then
shape.
you went to say point of information.
We
Which
don't
one
have to
did you
think
want?
like you think and feel the way that you
I'd
do.
go with the point of information.
You would, thank you.
I do not know. I would like the board member to explain, what is she talking about? Some private meeting with who that she
That's not a
knows
point
about?
of
If it's a
information.
private,
No, you're just interjecting right now. I had the floor. I was making a statement. If you have a question, you can ask that question. I had the floor. Sir, you're abusing a point of order and a point of
I
information.
think I'll let the chair decide that. You don't have the floor.
I believe she did have the floor, and you
Again,
said a
you're
point of
wrong.
order, and you said a point of information. As the chairperson of this board, everybody have had their round to speak for about twice, 2 or 3 times speaking. Ms. Booth had only spoke once, and once she speak, we're going to go into getting a vote to adjourn this meeting and finish the meeting.
Okay. I almost forgot what I had to say here. I think we should move on because we're spending a lot of time on this. We done discussed this before. And the only reason why I voted for reconsideration is just so for the legal advice on it. That's it. That doesn't mean I'm going to vote one way or the other. But individuals should be able to vote the way they choose to vote on this issue. And it's not, I don't disrespect anyone on this board, and I understand what went on. I was there. So we need to move on.
Okay, that's fine. So, can we make a motion to, well, we don't even have to make a motion. We did a lot of comments. We didn't even have a comment. This meeting is adjourned. We have did that. We just started using that 30 minutes time.
Point of order. We need to, we're in the middle of discussion. We need to move to vote on the
A vote on what? What was there to vote on? Remember, the meeting ended at 6. We used that 30 minutes. You addressed what you wanted. We voted on it, and you guys were having a conversation on it. We voted on everything that we needed and get you the information you needed, and you always having conversation. Everybody spoke concerning this matter a couple of times. So we don't have to. We was already adjourned. We were just talking. We had adjourned the meeting at 6 o'clock.
And we had already voted to reconsider.
So what else do you?
We voted to reconsider.
And you voted to reconsider.
So
And you reconsider, both motion passed, the reconsider and the motion passed. And then we just ended up in conversation because the next meeting started at 6:30.
Well, I'm not concerned with what time the meeting starts and ends and everything else, but I believe we're in the middle of a motion right now.
Well, what motion were we in the middle of?
Jesus.
You guys got to arguing, so what motion was it?
So you made the motion
Uh-huh.
for authorization of legal services
Oh, okay. So there was a motion on the floor to get the document we needed, validating the legal service for Board Member McIntyre regarding the assault. So there's the motion, is there a second? Was it been second? It was second.
But a point of clarification or point of information. If you would, Madam Chair, you don't have to, but I think you should rescind that motion, make another motion to say, I could amend it, but I won't do that, to say that board members and not use anyone's name. That's all I'm asking.
Maybe we could hear the motion again.
Ms. Monica, could we go ahead and hear the motion, because it was second. We had discussion, so we can do the roll call. Thank you very much. There's a motion for a legal opinion regarding the authorization of legal service for board members.
For the board members?
Yes. And there was motion, it was a second.
Chris seconded.
We had discussion. Now we're going into roll call.
Any more discussion?
I don't know what the, I don't understand what the motion
Point
is.
of information. Can you just?
I'm going to repeat it again for you.
Yes.
Legal opinion regarding authorizations of legal service regarding
Board members.
board members and 11.26.
Point of information. I believe, I could be totally wrong, because just as I'm not a lawyer, I'm not a parliamentarian. But I will say that when we reconsider something, you have a vote to reconsider it.
We did that.
And then it's brought before the board to reconsider it. Is this how you really wanted to vote? Is this how you still want to vote today on that original motion that we're reconsidering?
If that's what the board wish, we can do it a second time. Board members, we are going to take a vote to make sure this is what you really want to do, is reconsider your vote regarding authorization of legal service item 11.26. As I call your name, please say yes or no. Trustee Del Maroni?
I'm sorry. Repeat what we are voting on.
What you just asked us to do, you asked us to do a clarity vote to make sure the reconsideration is what the board wanted to do. That is what we are doing now. This is what we requested. So we are requesting this is to be sure this is what you want. A legal opinion regarding item 11.26, authorizations of legal service for board members. And you want us to double check this, so I'm
No,
taking
no,
a vote
no,
now,
no.
Chris
No,
Del Marone.
No, point of order. The original motion that was passed, 4-1, I believe it was last week, that is what we should be voting on now. Because that is what we're reconsidering. Now, we can go beyond that and then ask for legal opinions later on. I think that's what
So are you
board
want us
members
to
want.
go back and re-vote on 11.26? That's what you want?
I believe that's how it works when you reconsider
think
something,
that's
because
how it
you're
works, but if that's what you
reconsidering
guys want.
your previous action.
That's what we just did.
Then the question is, do you want to make the motion? Or you have someone, you withdraw your motion.
Well, I'm going to withdraw my motion. There's a motion on the floor to,
And you made that motion.
and I
so
made
you
the
can
motion,
withdraw
and I'm
it.
withdrawing it to take
So-
away 11.26, legal authorization opinion. I need your motion now. What's your motion, Chris? What you want your motion to be?
Because we've voted to reconsider the motion from, I believe it was last week, we should start discussion on that motion over to reconsider it. To say, oh, in light of this other information that we want, in light of these other attorney bills that we received? Do we want to still move in that direction?
So are you making a motion? What's your motion?
The motion, seeing how reconsideration has already passed, should be the motion that we voted in the affirmative 4-1. I believe it was last week. And you can read that motion for clarity for the board and the public.
I don't even have that motion that we made in clarity.
Point of information, Madam Chair.
So what I could do, what's your point, Mr. Gilbert?
And a request or referral to our executive assistant.
You're not speaking into your mic. I can't
Oh,
hear
I'm
you.
sorry. A request to the executive assistant to, if she's possible, to bring that up, that motion that concerning the legal fees that was approved 4-1 for a board member's legal fees to be covered. That is what Trustee Del Marone is talking about. So we need to discuss that, the reconsideration of that, and that's the reason it's coming back, because we did vote yes to reconsider it. So if we want to change it, or if we want to amend it, or if we don't want to bring it forth or go any further with it, the board can decide that, if that is our decision. If not, the motion stands. That was made last week.
So you want the point of information, Chris Del Marone, you want the Monica to find that motion, or no, I don't know where it's at, because
Yeah,
I
and-
can't remember it.
That's not in
Yes,
here.
and as I look through this, I don't see it on tonight's
see it
agenda. Maybe it is.
It's not on tonight's agenda because it was approved at the board committee of the whole on June 9th. So if you refer to your regular meeting packet,
Page 8.
page 8,
Page 8. Part 1, Sister Monica.
11.26 on page 8,
Yeah.
11.26, thank
on
you.
your regular board
On
page.
page eight.
Yes,
And is this coming before the board tonight for action?
it was approved.
It was already approved, Chris, it was approved, we just put it in your this is what happened in the last meeting, it was approved. This is what you have in your package regarding the approval. This was approved.
So this was approved at, you're telling me, a regular board meeting?
Your note 1126 is, the item 8, it was approved. It has down now who approved what was what, if that's what you're asking me, 11.8?
Madam Chair.
Mr. Gilbert,
Madam Chair, 11.26, it says the original motion made by President McNeil, supported by Secretary Booz, to approve resolution 26, right? That's what we're talking about, is motion page 7. Is this the one we're talking about?
starting on page 7, going over to page 8.
Page 8, yes. Now, what I remember here is that if this is concerning the legal fees of a board member, I voted no.
go down to,
Because you appealed the decision of the president, we had to address the appeal.
go
So
down to
after the
11.27.
appeal, there was
Yes. Thank you, Sister Monica.
So,
Yes.
So,
Thank you.
you
Thank you,
okay with
Sister.
11.27?
Yes, yes, I got it.
Where all board members approve it, okay. So, trustee Del Moroni, what
yes,
is your
so,
motion?
no, I only have a committee of the whole meeting that this came out of. I don't see where this was at a board meeting.
A committee of the whole is a board meeting. It's a committee of the whole.
On June the 9th,
Don't-
we was on.
Don't we normally take things from the cow to the full board?
But I mean,
I just don't know what else to tell you.
if I may,
You
through
the
the president,
parliamentarian, yes, go ahead.
at the June 9th cow, the motion that was made was a motion to adopt. Do you read that at the top?
Well, I've
Yeah.
never known us to adopt something at the cow without it coming
It
before the
has
full
multiple
board.
times over the 20 years I've been with the school district, yes, sir.
Okay, so that happened at a cow,
Yes.
and we're at a cow.
There
and
were
that-
3 actions that were actually approved that night. That was one of them. You also approved the adoption authorization to issue payment for services rendered, 11.7, and you also approved 11.27, approval of change order number 4. Those 3 actions were approved at the committee of the whole. Those were the motions.
So then let me ask this. To reconsider that action at the next meeting, where would you want that to be brought up at? This is the next cow meeting from that cow meeting.
What you're really looking to do is rescind that action.
Point of order.
Yes, Mr. Gifford.
Madam Chair and to our executive assistant, in order, that action that was adopted, because it was a board action, is going to take a 2/3 vote.
Yes, it does.
And I would agree, I just say this in passing, I would vote with you, but we don't have the votes. It's just that simple.
That is correct.
Well, you know, for some who are so big on policy and procedure
Yes.
and Neola, I'll just say this. I don't know what standing committee that went through, and I don't know why it is never going to make it to the full board. But apparently, we can just bring things up at cow and pass it, and everybody be happy. I mean, we are the ones talking about transparency, because we're hearing it from the public. But I'll let the chips fall where they may, and I will say, I told you so. When the lawsuits start, I will say, I told you so. Again, I'm not an attorney.
No, you are not.
So, at this point, we're right back where we started from. We didn't get the 2/3 votes. I am going to get you the paperwork that you asked for from the legal. That's the best I can do. And let's buckle down and get some.
Madam Chair, could you talk?
I'm speaking.
But could you talk where
Okay,
could
I
hear
will.
you? Thank you.
Let's get this straight and buckle down about Neola and policy. These are the same policies that have been in place before I sat in this seat. Every president operated by them. Since George Ellis McNeil got in this seat, it's been dog, the policy. All because I decided to follow the policy so that we can get out of this litigations and lawsuit that could happen. And so now we're creating another issue. I am trying to follow a policy. Now, you ask me to do something, I would do it. That's the best I can do, but to be beat down and dogged out the way that I've been dogged out, because I didn't ask for this seat. I made it my business not to get this seat, and I put the perfect person that I thought would be in this seat. But for you guys to attack me about Neola, go to legislation. We operate by the law of the land. We've been up, that's why we're in the problem shape that we're in, because everybody wants to do what they want to do. I didn't make these policies. I didn't make parliamentary procedure when it comes to reconsideration. I didn't do this. We done spent 45 minutes fighting against Neola and the policy. Now, in regard, and even to the other situation about the check, if you said they out there, I would go out to legal and see what our option is. But all of this back and forth about we are not the court, we are not the judge. Only elephant in this room is these policy. And getting upset at me because I'm trying to stick to the policy the best I have, interrupting, being rude, respect. We should be better than that. This is an educational institution. It requires reading, writing, and arithmetic, and we have to read stuff over and over. When in question, you get a legal opinion. And that's just what we are going to do. But we can't violate the law. Trustee Gilbert just explained we need that 2/3. And I appreciate you saying that. That's farther we can go. We didn't get the 2/3. But that doesn't mean that we don't have love for everybody here. The public didn't come in here to hear all of this and all of that. We had plenty of time to talk about this.
Point of information.
Go ahead on, Trustee Gilbert.
Madam President, the only thing that I want to say is that we certainly have a right to, as trustees and fiduciary, to ask questions.
Yes, you do.
To inquire, and I want to make it part of the record. I'm not attacking anyone, and I'm thick-skinned, I'm tough, so if you hit at me, I'll stop you if I can, legally and procedurally. But if not, if I can't take it, I'll get up and walk out, won't come back. But I respect all of my colleagues. I just disagree with what has taken place the last couple of weeks. And I voted that. I said it in the open. I'm transparent because my dad told me, he said, don't throw no rocks and hide your hand. Stand up. And that's all I'm trying to do. It's not personal. It's not an attack against you or any of the other board members present or here tonight. It's just that I've got inquiries, and I'm trying to get legally to the truth and what is right for all of us, not just one or two of us. And that's all that I'm saying. That's the best that I can say it. Thank you.
Thank you. And that's what this board desires to do. As we stated earlier, this meeting, can we adjourn this meeting now? We have to adjourn this meeting so we can't go any further.
Support.
I hear the meeting has been supported to adjourn. I would like to call the Flint Board regular board meeting to order at 6:55. Board member, as I call your name, please say present or absent. Vice President McIntosh is absent. Trustee Gilbert stepped out, absent. Trustee Green, absent. Assistant Secretary Del Maroney,
Here. Present.
Secretary Bose, Treasurer McIntyre, and myself, President Mike Neal, 4 yes. The District of Michigan standard practice. Can the secretary do it, or we can skip it? We can call upon the secretary to do it. I will now call upon Trustee Booz to read the district mission statement and first statement in the standard practice. Wait a minute.
Page 3.
District mission statement. It is the mission of the Flint, is my mic on? It is the mission of the Flint School District to develop a community of learners who are prepared to live, work, and contribute in an ever-changing society. Flint Board of Education standards of practice. In order to provide outstanding leadership to best serve the Flint Community Schools, we, the members of the Flint Board of Education, commit to following standards of practice. 1, we will be consistent in our dealing with each other, as well as students, staff, and community. 2, we will model trustworthiness and honesty in our relationship with each other, with our superintendent, with our constituents. 3, we will focus on common goals of providing the best education possible for the students in the Flint Community School. 4, we will respect diverse views that each of us bring to the organization, as well as the view of others that we interact with as we carry out the business of the Board of Education. 5, we will open and authentic with each other. We'll be open and authentic with each other, our staff and community. Number 6, as we work to make decisions, we will focus on issues, not personalities. 7, our discussions will be student-centered and based on objective facts. Number 8, we will practice good listening skills to better understand our fellow Board of Education members and constituents.
Thank you, Ms. Booz. I seek a motion and a second to approve the minutes from the June the 9th, 22 Board Committee of the Whole meeting.
So moved.
Support.
It has been properly moved and supported. Are there any corrections?
Not corrections, or do we have
Are you
discussion?
speaking,
Not necessarily a correction, but discussion.
so there is no correction?
Oh, there could be a correction, because I don't know if you'll recognize the fact of just discussion. So in regards to the motion 11, 26, 27, whatever they may be, where our action was to approve it at the cow,
That's what we did as board as a whole, yes.
yeah. I'll just say, my vote, I thought, was to move it to the full board. And how that can be done under transparency and everything else, to simply bring something before the cow, when we've been told so many times that in order to do it, unless it's an emergency thing or something, it goes to the committee, to the respective committee of whatever the issue may be. It goes to the respective committee for whatever the issue may be, brought before the cow for discussion of the full board, voted on. If it's voted in the affirmative, then it moves to the full board meeting. So how that happened, I'm not sure. But maybe one day Neola will come in, or we'll see their Bible to get a better understanding of what their law is. Because Neola, we just voted, what was it, to pay them $5,000 a year. If that didn't pass, then their law goes away, or what? So I'll be voting no on the approval of the minutes.
Are there any other corrections in the minutes? Seeing none, the motion to approve the minutes from the June the 9th, 2022 Board Committee of the Whole meeting will be conducted by roll call vote. As I call your name, please say yes or no. Karen McIntosh is absent. Trustee Gilbert.
No.
Daniel Green is absent. Chris Del Moroni.
No.
Linda Booth.
Yes.
Laura McIntyre.
Yes.
Chip McNeil, myself, yes. 3 yes and 2 noes.
Point of order.
Yes.
Did it pass or fail?
The motion passed by a vote of 3 yes and 2 noes.
I thought you needed at least 4.
For minutes, it's just majority of those present.
Point of order. Will I find that in Neola or in our bylaws? And I'll remind the president this is our meeting.
I don't know exactly where you can find that. I look in your bylaws. You can go into your bylaws on the minutes.
Well,
Go into your bylaws on the minutes and it should say that. That's the
I'm
way
sure
it's
it
been
does.
since I've been here. Now, if it's something different, I don't know. According to the
Well-
bylaws on the minutes, it always been by the majority. The
Okay,
bylaws that I have.
I'm not the one that said that. If someone's going to make a statement, they need to prove it to me. Just like when I had brought up the fact that we had never voted to make Northwestern a high school, and every other board member said we had, and they said, well, it'll take too much time to look it up. Go look it up, Chris. And the fact of the matter is, we never did vote
Point of
to
information.
keep
point of
Northwestern
order,
open.
Point of
Yes,
order.
Ms. McIntyre, thank you.
We are voting on the meeting minutes.
And
This is not germane to the vote. I really don't understand the agenda of a certain board member. The Robert Rules of Order say that we have a majority. We've passed the meeting minutes. It's time to move on to the next agenda item.
At this time, the board will hear any comments from the public pertaining to the item listed on tonight's meeting agenda. Comments about items not appearing on the agenda can be addressed at the end of the meeting. Is there anyone present who wishes to address the board? I hear Ms. Linda Thompson.
Good evening, Board.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I'm requesting that my comments be directed towards your executive assistant, if it is okay with the Board.
You're welcome. Go ahead.
I came to congratulate and thank Monica Elston for her service to Flint Community Schools. Job well done. Your job at times goes unnoticed and many times can be unappreciated. But I can assure you firsthand that the job you have done has been invaluable. As you enter the next chapter, know that you have done above and beyond the call of duty and have set the bar high. Congratulations and best wishes for your future endeavors. Thank you.
Is there anyone else who would like to come before the board and speak? Where did this right here? Just this one right here. Just this one.
Yes, Arthur Woodson. All the time that I have been here, and I put my name in the slip, in the box. I guess you don't want to say my name. All the time that I have been here, I've never seen anything move from the cow. I mean, and go and not show up on the full board. It's a whole bunch of things going on here. Speaking about what that is, you said that y'all had it in y'all packet, so it's on the agenda. Y'all just paid legal fees for nothing. Not one time did I threaten Trustee McIntyre. Not one time.
Point of order, Mr. Woodson, don't call the name, please.
I can call her name. This is freedom of speech. My name been called every week. My name was called while y'all was voting on that legal package. So now I'm able to say something. Mr. Del, I'm not out of order. You can't do anything to me. You can't. That's what y'all tried to do right here and put a PPO order out so that I couldn't come up here and talk. But you can't stop me from saying Trustee McIntyre, Trustee Del Maroney, Trustee Booz, Trustee Gilbert, Trustee McNeil. You can't. You can't do that. So please don't do that. I'm serious. This is freedom of speech. This is my constitutional right. I'm a veteran. I fought for every. She can't do that. They just sit up there doing it.
Names in
the
public
okay,
comment.
okay.
Comment,
Yes,
public
they
speaking.
did.
Mr. Wilson, just let me read this. I'm just reading what the rules are. We ask that you state the reason for addressing the board and that you limit your remarks to 3 minutes on matter within the authority of the board and not address individual by names. That's.
Okay, Mr. Gilbert, could you please state what you told me on the phone where you said that?
Point of order. This is not
a.
Okay.
Just say your comment,
Point
Mr.
of
Wilson. We
order.
won't have a,
Okay,
we
then.
won't have a back and forth dialogue because he's not supposed to respond back to
Sir,
the couple.
can you tell me what you told me on the phone the day of the incident when you
point
said?
of order.
I
This
didn't
is
say no name.
public comments.
Point
You
of
make
order.
comments for
The-
3 minutes.
The board is not to respond to the public comments. That's
ain't
the
said nothing back.
policy.
Can I get my
Mr.
time?
Gilbert. You're losing your time, Mr.
Hey,
Wilson.
what I'm saying, tell them how you said and told me that they told you not to put in your statement that the person, individual, provoked you, agitated you, and set you up. But the lawyer would not allow you to put that in your statement. All they wanted was a statement of the alleged person. Let me tell y'all something. Y'all should have went into closed session talking about litigation because I am suing. And also, I do have recall papers for 2 individuals on this board that I will be submitting this week because you can't stop me. You tried to put a PPO order and lied about it, just like you lied, just like you stood up just now. You did that in a meeting, and it was unwanted touching. Thank you. I'll be back.
Regarding agenda items, if it's not agenda items, you can't speak. That's agenda item. Carrie Duns.
Good evening, Board. My name is Carrie Downs. I have the absolute pleasure of serving as the Director of the Flint Community Education Initiative, led by the Crim Fitness Foundation. Our organization's address is 452 South Saginaw Street, Flint, Michigan. In regards to a couple agenda items, I just would absolutely be remiss if I did not honor some of the staff members who have been absolutely a treasure for our district. First, I do want to honor one of the staff members who's leaving the district after 4 years and 5 months of service, and that's Todd Barless, who served as the MTSS supervisor. He has done a tremendous service to Flint schools, staff, our scholars. He really has been an absolute treasure and absolute pleasure to work with him and collaborate. And on behalf of the Flint Community Education Initiative, we just wish him well in his next season, and we know that he'll be greatly successful. Hope he stays in touch. I also want to honor all of the retirees. Wow, just a tremendous amount of years of service for the retirees who are in the board packet today, and we just honor them, the Community Education Initiative, in the service that they've provided, just extensive decades, right, of their investment in the work here in the Flint community. But on a personal note, I do want to honor some of the retirees that I have had the absolute fortune to work with them directly. So I want to honor Brian Welch for his 25 years of service. Right now he's serving at Brownell STEM Academy, but just so grateful for his dedicated service as a teacher. I also want to honor Kathleen Hutchings, who served for 34 years and 5 months serving at Brownell currently, and she absolutely has been a dedicated teacher, showing up well for our students and a great collaborator as well. And finally, Monica Elston, an absolute gift. I mentioned this at the last meeting last week, and we just want to say on behalf of the Flint Community Education Initiative, Ms. Elston, thank you for your unflappable professionalism and your absolute commitment to the Flint Community School District. You have been a pleasure to work with over the years, and we are so grateful for you. Thank you, Board. Have a good evening.
Thank you. Is there anyone else from the public who wishes to address the board regarding the agenda items? Thank you, Les. Are you coming? Go ahead.
Good evening. My name is Mona Monroe Eunice, and I'm with a local environmental justice nonprofit called the Environmental Transformation Movement of Flint. Given that you're going to be discussing budget issues, I wanted to just recommend that as you're discussing ESSER funds, that you prioritize some of the funding for roof repair of any Flint Community Schools school buildings that you deem ready to stay open. A couple of weeks ago, I had the privilege of being part of an air quality assessment tour of several of the schools. I'd asked to participate to learn how to do that kind of assessment. And one of the overall findings was that the roofs have needed repair for so long that they really are like putting the buildings at risk of not being able to be sustained over time. So I know that it was an EPA indoor air quality team that did the assessment and brought that tool to Flint, and they will be sharing a report. It hasn't come out yet, to my knowledge, so there will be more details forthcoming, but with the leaking from the roofs, it was affecting mold. And this isn't all the buildings, you know. It also with like Brownell, the roof was so unstable that not only was there leaking coming into the classrooms that was damaging the building, but it also, you probably know, made it impossible to put the new air conditioning units on top of the roof. So they were sited like in the walk up to the school. Sorry. So I think this is going to be the board that moves this forward in a strategic way. I'm really excited for your strategic plan. I know you guys have worked really hard on it and are making some really difficult decisions around how to stabilize the district and get it to a place where students come back. So as you make those decisions, please prioritize the roofs. It's been kicked down the road for decades. Many of the, basically all the roofs have needed complete replacement for about 10 years, as I understand, some longer than that. And I just think that's going to be really key to stabilizing the buildings. And then just one other note from an environmental justice perspective with regard to that. If you had stable roofs, then you could open the door for seeking grant funding for solar panels on top, which would not only reduce the energy burden and the energy costs for the district, but it could also open doors for educational lessons with the students and teaching them about 21st century renewable energy technologies. So there's just a lot of possibilities there. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Next speaker.
Good evening. I was just wondering about some of the empty school buildings you have. I noticed some you have listed on the website and others are not listed. I have 3 kids that attend Flint schools between Holmes and Southwestern. I would like to see some type of utilization with those empty buildings. And are you guys allowing those to be leased? That way you can kind of make some money off of it and it won't be sitting there dormant. You'll still have oversight of those buildings and we can probably put some good use to those empty buildings.
Thank you very much. Is there any more comments from the public?
Good evening. My name is Melanie Hemphill Smith. I am a FCS employee. I work at Pierce Elementary School, and since you all are going to be looking at budgets this evening, I had a couple of things that I had written down that I thought might be interesting to look at. One of them is the fact that today it was very hot. Some schools have working air conditioning. Some schools like Pierce do not. We had just window air conditioners. It was very hot. I've been through the chain of command as far as seeking information as to whether or not school was going to be even held on today. It was held. The fuse blew out several times in the building, which I believe is a potential fire hazard. That's just my thought. The children were very uncomfortable, and I know that we talk about doing right by our scholars, our parents, and our staff. Scholars, of course, always being number one. It was extremely hot, and the fact that when you try to reach out and get answers from administration that you're completely ignored. That's a problem because I know that as a classroom teacher, I'm told to capture the students' hearts, to help build those trusting relationships, to listen to them. And when you don't even feel as though you're being heard and you are desperately asking for something that you need some clarity on. I don't ask a lot of questions, but when I ask one, I would like an answer. Then second of all, the other thing that I had so that I don't take up a lot of time, I noticed that on March 23rd, there was an unfortunate incident that took place among members of the board. There was an emergency meeting that evening that addressed that horrible event. The motion was put in to have police presence, and police presence was, I believe, at the next meeting, which was on April 6th. Well, I would just like to say that in the past month and a half, we've had such assaults in our building on staff, threats of violence against staff. And so I just believe that police presence would benefit our school buildings as well, so that we are not only keeping our board members safe, but keeping our scholars and our staff safe, so that we all look like we are truly in this together. We cannot push anything under the rug. In recent events, such as Uvalde, we see that things can happen, so we just need to be prepared. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you very much. Okay. So that's it for any more comments from the public. Being there's no more comments. We have one more? Oh, okay.
Hello there, everybody.
Good afternoon.
Claudia Perkins. One of my, last week, one of my great nephews missed the bus for summer school. So I had to take him up to home school. And if you plan on keeping homes open, my car it almost fell through the parking area. It is ridiculous. That needs pavement like you wouldn't believe. It's ridiculous. And so if you have schools like that, I would ask you to think about funding to get those paved if you're going to, any of the schools that you're going to keep open. Also, one of the Durant Tremont, I think they had not updated the website since 2017, and that could be an issue. And then I'd like better curriculum in the school systems. That's you know, a lot of history that I don't think is being shared, especially in our community, about our history. And that's always been a problem for me. So thank you so much.
Is there anyone else would like to speak? Thank you. Let's proceed with the agenda. I now turn the floor, oh, no, got the wrong page. Now I will turn the floor over to Superintendent Jones for special recognition and superintendent communicate.
Okay, sure will. Thank you, Board President. Thank you to our community. One thing I will address is that, board members, we met with principals twice yesterday, one by phone and also face-to-face in a Zoom meeting for them to make a decision on their buildings closing yesterday. The principals decided that they would keep their buildings open. Each individual school had that right to determine a virtual day for today. And so principals made the decision to keep their buildings open. And we asked principals to ensure that they got with their staff members to make sure that they understood the decision of the building leader. So I want to make that plain to all of you. But I also want to make a special recognition. And I see some family members out there of a very important person. And I think that young lady's name is Miss Monica Elston. Is there any family members out there?
Tell them to come forward. They can come here.
If you would like to come forth, this is the time. Family and friends, if you would like to come forth to give something special to Monica, this is the time to do so.
Tell them bring their camera.
Board President says bring your camera. And Miss Monica, I'm going to ask you to come forward here. Board President, if you could come up as well. We have some leader retirees, board members that we're acknowledging. We're also going to be acknowledging Miss Anna Johnson, who is also an over 30-year vet here in Flint Community Schools that is retiring. But tonight we want to honor Miss Monica Elston. Yep, no, go ahead. Enjoy family. Is there anything that family would like to say, or you okay? You're good? All right. Yeah, yeah, come on up. So, on behalf of the district, come on, Ms. Thompson. And thank you for your years of service to Flint Community Schools. Ms. Monica, there's a lot we can say. There's a lot we can say. But for your 30 years of dedicated service to Flint Community Schools, we salute you and congratulate you on your retiring in good standing and excellence from Flint Community Schools, June 2022. And for your years of service, we present this beautiful token to you to take along with you for your years. Here you go.
Thank you.
I'm gonna let the board members see this. I don't know if they all had a chance to.
Yeah, very good.
It's beautiful.
Something we want to begin doing to those who have given 30 years to this district is showing them our appreciation and sending them off properly. So thank you so much, one of our leaders in our district. Let's give Ms. Monica one more round of applause, if you will. All right, board members, I'm going to get to the communique here. I want to start off today's communique with a shout out. I did mention Miss Monica Elston, but I also mentioned Principal Anna Johnson, who is retiring at the end of the school year. Ms. Johnson has been an incredible leader, teammate, and friend to many in this district, and her departure will be felt across the district. She has supported some of our youngest learners, keeping them engaged both in and out of the classroom. We thank Ms. Johnson for all she has done for the Flint Community Schools and all of our retirees that are in our packet tonight. And we hope to see you again. And we hope that you will come back and serve in Flint Community Schools at the capacity that you wish. Last week, we had the distinct honor of graduating over 80 scholars at Southwestern Classical Academy. As each scholar walked across the stage to receive their diploma, family and friends cheered from the overflowing bleachers, and it was a packed house. We were glad about that. Our skilled educators watched their scholars, some of whom have been with the district for 13 years, took their final steps before moving on to the next stage of their journeys. Our incredible Board of Education clapped and fist bumped the scholars there. The elected officials, our board members were there to support, and even our board president spoke to our scholars. While our high school graduation is our main event, there were many other events that took place. Our 6th grade graduations across the district, also our 8th grade graduation at Home STEM Academy. There are additional events and initiatives wrapping up for the school year across the buildings. Freeman is they hosted a field day, and so many other schools hosted field days. One of our board members had recommended skating parties, and I want to say that our scholars did go to skating parties this year at the end of the school year, so we want the board to know that we are listening. Throughout our district, we continue to do all we can to connect with scholars by identifying their interests intersect with educational opportunities. A perfect example is our Flint Community Schools esports program. The group meets twice a week to play video games with and against one another, while also learning about game development and coding. a 21st century skill that goes well beyond the world of video games. Through the funding of the Crim Fitness Foundation and a partnership with STEMletics, we have provided scholars with a safe place to play games with friends while nurturing their skills and passion. The focus on education and educators is directly tied into the district's recently approved from Cal Moving Tonight strategic plan. With this plan, we will help prepare scholars to be lifelong learners, deepen our connection with the community, provide and update wraparound services that focus on the whole child, and create a teaching environment that empowers and excites our staff. Our team is already moving forward with many aspects and initiatives as a part of this plan that will be approved tonight, and we will continue to proactively share updates in the months and years ahead. All the while, Flint scholars will be supported both in and out of the classroom. As we look towards the 2022-23 school year, we encourage families to plan ahead for their children's academic journeys. Whether they're going into elementary, middle, or high school, if you have a family member, neighbor, or friend with a scholar going into preschool or kindergarten, please encourage them to reach out now to begin the enrollment process. A robust preschool and kindergarten experience is essential and foundational for each scholar, propelling them well into adulthood. I want to thank our families, teachers and staff, residents, and especially our board members for an awesome year. We've had our ups and our downs, but we've gotten some things done. I want to remind you, we've gotten some hydration stations put into our buildings. That deserves a round of applause. We are not finished. We are still working. We are still implementing, and we are still developing plans for the future of this district. I want to thank every principal who's worked hard this year to ensure that their school had received the needs necessary to deal with COVID-19, and all the educators who have educated our scholars all year long. Again, I want to thank Ms. Monica for her years of service, and I thank this board for the work that you're doing to support this district. And I also want to thank this executive team and the directors of Flint Community Schools that's pushing us forward. Thank you very much, Board President.
Board members, as a friendly reminder that at the June the 9th Board COW meeting, we voted to approve in batch tonight. I will now call upon Mr. Jones.
I seek a motion and a second to approve the Human Resource Committee resolution in batch, including the updates from tonight's COW on.
Support.
It has been properly moved and second. Is there any discussions?
Yeah.
Trustee Demaroni?
Yeah, I could be mistaken, but I think the motion was to approve in batch, but if any members had something they wanted to separate out, they could.
That's true.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Trustee Gilbert?
Madam President, I did want to say to Ms. Galloway and to the staff, the superintendent, that I know it's not easy to attract to our district, but when we are able to hire people of quality, and we know that our executive assistant, no one will be able to take her place. And I miss her already, and she's right over there. And, but thanks to Ms. Galloway and Ms. Murphy that they're doing all that they can. And I talk to them a lot. And they're doing a good job. And I think that that's what we want. We want people that love the children, they love the parents, and they respect and understand the administration, and we work together. So I appreciate the fact that we can hire some people that will probably do this district a great deal of good. So thank you.
You're welcome. Is there any more discussion, round two, Mr. Del Moroni?
Yeah, thank you. Just for board member information, obviously Monica's retiring at the end of the month. That'll come quick. Is there someone who is gonna fill her position, not take her spot, fill her position? And who, if we know, how do we contact them, things like that?
We have spoken to a staff member. I don't want to say her name because she has not totally decided that she wants to work in that capacity. And I also want to make sure we talk it over and we have a clear understanding of what it's going to look like. So I will be contacting board members way before Ms. Monica leaves, so we can have an understanding of how we're going to move forward.
Okay.
And Ms. Monica is setting us up to have folders of information electronically because there's a lot of information so that we could move forward if we have to ourselves. And so we're getting set up. We're thinking about the future. And we have already posted the position. And so we're going to try to start interviewing as soon as possible.
Very good. Thank you.
And I want to share a little information. If you look in your board, in your policy, your board secretary will be picking up on the roles and responsibility of a board secretary, which we seem to don't like to use, but the Neola and the policy said she has a role and we need to start allowing her to use that and play that role. So look in your policy and see what role she will be playing as our board secretary, and it's any board secretary as well as Assistant Secretary Del Moroni. You and her have to work together because in the past they just would not allow boards to fulfill their duties. I'm saying I'm strictly policy, and you will take that role as your board secretary. Thank you. Seeing no discussion, the motion to approve Human Resource Committee resolution and batch, including the updates from tonight's call, will be conducted by a roll call vote. As I call your name, say yes or no to approve the action. Vice President McIntyre is absent. Trustee Gilbert?
Yes.
McIntyre, I'm sorry, is absent. We have these time flippers here. Danielle Green, Trustee Danielle Green is absent. And Ms. McIntyre is absent. Trustee Chris Del Moroni,
Yes.
Linda Booth,
Yes.
Laura McIntyre,
Yes.
myself, Mike Neal, yes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 yes. 0 no. Please continue, Mr. Jones.
At this time, I am going to ask Ms. Wolf to please come forward for the budget hearing presentation. So board members, what's happening right now is she has to repeat the information from last week. There's no new information being given to you tonight, but a part of how the budget hearing goes is that she must repeat this information at the regular board meeting.
Thank you, guys. We'll get started. We're going to go over how the budget development process is. It's pretty basic. We do the same thing every year. We're going to meet with all of the executive directors, principals, department heads to ensure we understand where their staffing is, where they're going to be, and where they're going to be for the end of this year and where they're going to be for next year. So we're asking a lot of questions, determining what the visions are, and we start developing the budget from there. District staff is approximately 56% of the district's expenses. We have contracted staff right around an additional 16, which is a total of 72%. And then the grants that we have, as obviously, as you can see, they're changing every year. We're going to realign the grant narratives to the items within the budget to help support the budget and how we're going to be spending those grant dollars. We're going to go here. Some of the things we want to talk about, contracted services, when we think about that, those are large contracts such as transportation, custodial maintenance, technology services, all of those, you see them come across here. Athletic accounts are budgeted with our athletic director. And then we have remaining costs such as heating, electrical, gas, those type of things are all rolled into each year based on our funding availability. And then we did submit a copy of the budget to your guys' contracted consultant. So we do have the snapshot here of the COVID funds. I know, Chris, you had a couple questions last week, so I did want to follow up on those. These are just a snapshot of where we were as of 5/31. That 25.5 was an indirect journal entry that just needed to be posted. We did go through there. I found that in the notes. So that's just an internal posting. The gear funds, we found where we can offset that, so that's now at 0 as of today. The ESSER equity and ESSER 1, we're reviewing the accounts right now to try to get those closed out by end of year. So there have been some movement since, we talked last Wednesday. I did want to make sure I followed up with you to let you know. We did budget an estimated $25 million for next year for ESSER 3. And that's just because we need to budget for what we think we can actually push through and spend during that fiscal year. We don't always budget for the full allocation if it's a multi-year grant. Next, we have the ESSER grant timelines. We kind of briefly went over these last week, so if there's any questions, let me know. The fiscal year 22 snapshot, so the end of this fiscal year that we're currently operating in, our beginning fund balance was the $27,259,797. We had revenues of $68,999,701 is what we're going to recognize. Our estimated expenditures is $75,451,486, leaving our ending fund balance at $20,808,012. It's important to understand and note that we are still operating in a deficit. While our fund balance is in the positive, we're still spending more than the revenues we have coming in. I know this is kind of small, but as you can see, you have this in our board packet. This is basically going over where the revenues are coming from, where we are landing, and where the expenses are. Fiscal year 23, which is next fiscal year, again, we'll open it where we estimate our beginning fund balance to be. This will change when we do our final audit and we get the final number from the auditors. That'll be part of the audit presentation in November. Revenues, we estimate at 80 million. Expenditures at 84 million. Ending fund balance, it's going down. It's down to 17 million is where we're estimating if everything goes through. At this point, we're still operating in a deficit of about $3.7 million. It's important to understand a significant number of our deficit that we operate in is being picked up by some of our grants. So we do have some approval for some of our other items.
It's being picked up by what? I'm sorry.
The grant funding that we have available. So sometimes it's kind of hard because when I have the revenues and expenses to offset it, it'll kind of wash itself out there. The foundation allowance for the fiscal year 22-23, I held at 8,700. While I know that there is motions out there right now for the governor to sign the additional increase of 453 per student, since it had not been signed before we did this budget, I did not put it into my fiscal year 23 allocation. Once it's signed, my first budget amendment, you will see that increase in there. Operating in a deficit, I didn't feel that it was advantageous for us to actually hope for that allowance, and if something happened, we'd have to go backwards. So, and then this year is our fiscal year 23. breakout, have it broken out by your general fund, grant funds, and your special education funding. Again, it's going to break it out by where our revenues are coming in and where our expenses are going out based on the actual department there that's listed. Our truth in taxation, this is our L429 that needs to be signed on an annual basis. We do have to turn this in by the end of the week to the county and to the city treasurer so that we can actually do our taxes and put taxes on the tax roll for that July 1 date. We have our voted operating millage, our sinking fund, and our debt fund on there. It's important to understand too, I do have the county review these before I push those out, just so we know we're collecting the maximum amount we can. Next, we're going to go into the student activities budget, which is the kids' savings accounts that they're raising money for fundraising. This one here is our ending balance. We kind of estimated at $15,000, not knowing if we were going to be a virtual or hybrid status. This is where we ended up. We had about $55,000 come in. We've paid out just like, it looks like $40,000 there. So they're doing well. Great fundraising. Fiscal year 23, I hope that we're still going to be operating and right around the same as we did this year. We didn't, we were closed for a little bit, but not a whole bunch. So I anticipate them being able to still get some funds in for them. Our food service budget, right now I just realigned our funding as to where I think we're going to be at the end of the year for food service. We still have a positive fund balance in there of about 1.9 million. And then next year, I anticipate an increase due to the new food service coming in and some of the different things they're going to offer, and hopefully have some additional catering sales in there. So do anticipate a higher increase for them for next year. So were there any questions that came about between last week and this week? Chris? Or I don't know if I can say it, but.
Yes.
I don't know if it came,
I had a
put a
question.
parameter on that. I'm not sure.
I'm
if
happy to
it's
answer
between the 2
anything.
points. But does the budget take into account, I saw there that you used a 5-year average or so of the number of full-time equivalent students at 2,500. So does
Yes.
the budget take in that number,
Yeah,
the 25?
So I did a 5-year average. Our average is roughly about 370 students we lose over, like each year over a 5-year average. So I did deduct that just to be on the conservative side. Once we start seeing those numbers finalized, again, in that amendment that we typically do in January is where you're going to see that increase or decrease. We should either be right on par or we're going to increase it because we hope that we increase it for student enrollment.
And I'm also, thank you, I'm also quite sure that property taxes will be going up just because of the value and the high inflation rates. Excuse me. How does that affect our budget?
So it
Does it
doesn't.
get balanced out between the state and?
So we do monitor it, and while I can do the math as to, because I have the tax rolls, we get those from the county, we can only recognize what's paid in. So there's always a certain percentage that doesn't pay in because of delinquent taxes and things like that, and we do take that into consideration when we're doing the budgets.
Okay.
Great
Thank you.
questions. Thanks.
No one else wants to say anything? I can speak. Ms. Wolf, I want to say, hopefully this board and this district really appreciate the fine work that you have done. Just to the fact that we're no longer in an EDEP plan because of your good work and your expertise. And I know you're very valuable, but you're very valuable to this district and to this board. I get very good high recommendation, even from Ms. Sakowski concerning you, and that we really didn't have any struggles in getting this job done, along with you working with the administration. And I appreciate that because it allowed the board to be more focused on policy and moving forward as a district, not worrying about the things that we've been dealing with in the past. And I appreciate you bringing us up to code and getting us together. And this would hopefully allow the board to really focus on what each one of our committee responsibilities is. Thank you so much.
Appreciate that.
I seek a motion and a second to approve the Finance and Operations Committee resolutions in batch, including the updates from tonight's COW on pages 101 through 317.
So moved.
Support.
Did you support? Linda?
Yes, I did. I'm sorry. Support.
It has been properly moved in second. Is there any discussions? Seeing no discussion, the motion to approve the Finance and Operation Committee in batch, including the update from tonight cows, will be conducted by a roll call vote. As I call your name, please say yes or no. Vice President Karen McIntosh, absent. Trustee Ellen Gilbert.
Yes.
Trustee Danielle Green is absent. Trustee Chris Del Moroni.
Yes.
Trustee Linda Booth.
Yes.
Trustee Laurie McIntyre.
Yes.
Myself, McNeil, yes. 5 yes, 0 no. Please continue, Mr. Jones.
In your packet, board members, are the information reports. They are 12.22, 12.23, 12.24, and 12.25. Do any board members have any questions?
Please continue, Mr. Jones.
All right, I seek a motion and a second to approve the Board Committee of the Whole resolutions in batch on pages 379 through 398.
So moved.
Support.
It has been properly moved and second. Is there any discussions?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Seeing no more discussion, the motion to approve the Board Committee of the Whole resolution in batch will be conducted by a roll call vote. As I call your name, say yes or no to approve this action. Vice President Karen McIntosh is absent. Trustee Ellen Gilbert.
Yes.
Trustee Danielle Green is absent. Trustee Chris Del Moroni.
Yes.
Trustee Linda Booth.
Yes.
Trustee Laura McIntyre.
Yes.
Myself, McNeil, 5 yes, 0 no.
Thank you, board members.
Continue, Mr. Jones.
I seek a motion and a second to approve the Academic Committee resolutions in batch, including the update from tonight's COW on pages 399 through 441.
So moved.
Support.
Second.
It has been properly moved in second. Is there any discussion? Seeing no discussion, the motion to approve the Academic Committee resolution in batch, including updates from tonight's call, will be conducted by a roll call vote. Board members, I call your name. Please say yes or no. Vice President Karen McIntosh is absent. Trustee Ellen Gilbert.
Yes.
Trustee Danielle Green is absent. Trustee Chris Del Moroni.
Yes.
Trustee Linda Booth.
Yes.
Trustee Laura McIntyre.
Yes.
Myself, McNeil, yes. 5 yes. This is on you, Mr. Jones. Ms. Cleveland.
At this time, we're going to ask Ms. Kleeman to come as she's going to give an update on the end of the year academic performance from Flint Community Schools.
All right, good, can you hear me? Good evening, board members.
Good evening.
From the Office of Academics, we just want to give you a brief update on where we are. What you see in front of you is our results of our NWEA tests, where scholars are given 3 times a year. And what you see in front of you is the percentage of students who met their growth projections. District-wide, what we are comparing is where we were last fall fall 2020 to spring 2021 in our math and our reading compared to where we are this fall 2021 to spring 2022 math. So what you will see is that district-wide, last spring, we were at 33% of our students met their growth projections, and then this year, 44.7% met their growth projections in math. In reading, last year, we were at 32.6% of scholars meeting their growth projections, and then this year, we're at 43.7%. So, board, thank you for what you are doing so far as helping us move our academics along. We're not where we want to be, but we are growing. And if we continue to work together, our scholars are going to get where they need to be. What you see here is our DIBEL scores. This is an assessment that is given to our K-3 scholars. And with our K-3 scholars, what you see here is the percentage of students who were at benchmark or above benchmark in our K-3 grades. And so district-wide, last spring, we were at 20.2%, and this year we are at 25.4% of our K-3 scholars meeting that are at their benchmark or above. So again, we're growing. The next thing is our MyKit. So I know this is something that you guys probably are already familiar with. This is our Michigan Integrated Continuous Improvement Plan. It is a pathway for our district to improve student outcomes by assessing, as Mr. Jones referenced, that whole child. Our scholars have a lot of needs that need to be met before they can be academically successful. So that is going to be very key in moving this work forward. This year, we have added, last year we had a literacy goal, and this year we are adding a math goal. And our literacy goal is that 80% of FCS students will demonstrate 15% growth on district and state reading assessments by 2026. And our math goal is 80% of FCS students will demonstrate 15% growth on district and state assessments by 2027. So again, we're going to move forward so we can hit those targets. So moving forward, where are we trying to go? As a result of our partnership with the MSU Fellowship, each school now has an individualized literacy plan that includes research-based strategies. We're going to utilize the curriculum adoption process for our ELA and math. We're going to continue to implement CKH in our schools. We're going to continue to utilize the NWEA data to monitor student growth. There's going to be an implementation of reading intervention for our middle school scholars. The program is called Read 180. And then we're also going to continue to implement Success for All in our elementary buildings. So again, board members, I thank you for what you have done so far, and I look forward to what you're going to continue to do for us so that we can move our deserving scholars in FCS forward.
Are there any questions, board members?
Mr. Klingman, thank you, Superintendent Jones. The NWEA, that's national, is that what that is, or is that just?
It's a national norm reference test that we use to look at our student growth.
Yes, and I just want to say this to you, Ms. Klingman, thank you for your excitement. Your spirit is very well appreciated. I'm a people watcher, and I've been watching you. That's what I do, and I really appreciate your spirit. I watched you in negotiations and everything, so I thank so much for that wonderful smile of yours. It's always good to see it. So thank you so kindly. Keep up the good work, and I see those words moving forward.
Yes, sir.
Thank you so much.
I received that. Thank you.
So we were talking, you were talking about percentages, and I kind of get that, but do we have a number that indicates the number of students, the percentage of students that are doing math at their grade level?
That's our proficiency, and we will be able to know that when our state data comes out in August.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Ms. Klingman, does it lag behind the previous year? Is that what it does? Does it lag? Or
What?
does it, the data that you look for that,
For our state data?
yeah?
Okay.
Or does it come out in the current year, school year, I guess I'm asking?
Yeah, so we'll get it in August for this current school year.
Okay, thank you.
Is there any more discussion?
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Seeing no more discussion, the motion to approve the purchase of technology, oh, I think I'm on the wrong page.
We're at the end.
Oh, we're done with that, yeah.
We're at the end.
Have we done this
Yeah,
part
we're
right
at the
here?
end, Madam Chair.
We're at the end.
You can stay if you want.
I thought I had
The rest of us
right
ain't
here.
gonna stay. Because I'm hungry.
Yeah. Okay. Board members, I seek a motion and a second to approve the purchase of technology devices, your Microsoft Surface for the Board of Education member.
Support. So moved.
So moved.
Point, yeah, you gotta get it right.
So do we have a second? Yes, I heard. Okay. See, it has been properly moved in second. Is there any questions?
That state, what is this again?
Can I speak for that?
Yes.
So this is, we have talked several times, and it's time to kind of bring it to the floor for board members to be able to utilize surfaces, which are computers, for your information, and be able to quickly go to Word, or if you need to send out emails, you have a device to do that. And in order for that to happen, a motion will need to be made by the board and approved.
So, Superintendent Jones, is it new tech, is it new, what is it, hardware or new?
It would be a new computer
A new, okay.
that each board member will be given
Oh,
to keep information on.
Lord, have mercy.
And so this is what, this is going to help us tremendous. So you can look up, you don't have to ask anybody. You can look up your policy. You can look up everything very quick. You should take that training on board book. You can go back and pull documents up yourself because nobody's going to, we don't have time. You don't have to ask anybody to read because we've been just dealing with paper and pencil. And this way you can type in stuff, get stuff done, and we'll be up to date and get information just like that. I don't like paper. I like instant information. So that's why we was looking at getting these technology things done, as well as the state law. When you go into Monica office, you see all those agendas and boxes and paper. The state said that we have to keep them for hundreds of years, and they have to be into an electronic system, scanned it. And we as the board that is our responsibility to approve and make sure that we have that electronic tool, whatever she needs, to scan those in, because we can be in a world of trouble if something get caught on fire or if something get hacked. So they are required that you can never throw away your minutes, none of that. So that is why we've been requesting this, and we're finally moving forward to getting it. Is there any more discussions? Seeing no more discussion, the motion to approve the purchase of technology devices for the Board of Education member will be conducted by a roll call vote. As I call your name, please say yes or no. Vice President Karen McIntosh is absent. Trustee Gilbert.
Yes.
Trustee Danielle Green is absent. Chris Del Moroni.
Yes.
Linda Booz.
Yes.
Laura McIntyre.
Yes.
Myself, Mike Neal, yes. 5 yes, 0 no.
I seek a motion and a second to issue payment to Mrs. Elston for the non-work days, 71.375, and sick days, 143.125, prior to her departure on June 30th, 2022.
So moved.
Support.
It had been properly moved and seconded. Is there any discussions? Yes, Trustee Gilbert? No. I'm sorry, I'm looking at him, thinking about you, I'm sorry.
I'm
Chris
all
Deveroni.
in favor, but I heard before, should the payment come after, or how does,
After.
after?
When you say after, like after she's gone, or?
Well, I heard the word before from board member here,
Or did you just read?
I said prior to her departure.
prior.
Oh, okay. Good
So
question.
does it come prior or after, or?
After.
After.
So I seek a motion and a second to issue payment to Mrs. Elston after her departure on June 30th, 2022?
Yes.
Okay.
Second that motion.
Is there any more discussions?
Nope, just that the payment's made as quickly as possible,
Yes.
or how it's normally done, yep.
Yes.
Seeing no more discussion, the motion is to approve Ms. Monica Estes' payment will be done by roll call vote. As I call your name, please say yes or no. Trustee Del Maroni?
Yes.
Trustee Linda Booth?
Yes.
Trustee Laura McIntyre?
Yes.
Trustee Alan Gibbert?
Yes.
Vice President Karen McIntosh is absent. Trustee Danielle Green is absent, and myself is a yes. Board members, I seek a motion to approve the community partnership agreement that we gave to each of you on June the 9th. I seek a motion, a second. I seek a motion and a second to approve it.
So moved.
Support. Support. It had been properly moved and second. Is there any discussions?
Is that this right here?
No, sir. It's this right here, the community partnership agreement that the attorney went over with us. Okay. Seeing no more discussion, the motion to approve the community partnership agreement will be conducted by a roll call vote. As I call your name, please say yes or no. Vice President Karen McIntosh is absent. Trustee Danielle Green is absent. Trustee Alan Gibbert.
Yes.
Trustee Chris Del Maroni.
Yes.
Trustee Linda Booth.
Yes.
Trustee Laura McIntyre.
Yes.
And myself, McNair, 5 yes. We just completed that one. Before we adjourn, we will give the public an opportunity to address the board. If you wish to speak, please come forward to the podium and state your name and address before speaking. You will have 3 minutes to speak. Please refrain from calling board members by name, please. Is there anyone wishes to speak?
Good evening again, Board. For the record, my name is Carrie Downs. I have the honor of serving as the Director of the Flint Community Education Initiative, housed at the Crim Fitness Foundation at 452 South Saginaw. And I just wanted to share some upcoming events, and some of them were in specific response to, I think, some of the items that you have lifted previously. We are including lots of traditional sports opportunities through the Crim Fitness Foundation, but we're also doing lots of non-traditional sports as well. So currently, right now, our Crim Sports Summer Running Clubs are open for registration. And this is to prepare students to participate in our invitational running program that happens in August. And the program takes place June 24th through August 29th. Again, registration is open. They can register at Crim Sports. Also, we have had great response from families participating in our Crim Sports Family Rec Days. These are recreational opportunities that we provide to our scholars and families at no cost. And just recently, we held a golf day. Joe Simpson, the head of First Tee of Eastern Michigan, provided a fantastic golf clinic for families, provided all of the equipment, everything they needed, and it was hosted at the IMA Brookwood Golf Course. Additionally, last weekend, we hosted 2 family rec days for fishing on Saturday and Sunday, a great turnout of families coming to take advantage of the fact that we can provide all of the equipment and any assistance needed with baiting hooks or helping get fish off the lines. Great response to families showing up for that free opportunity. Additionally, we have coming up on June 25th our Yoga in the Park at Brennan Park. And again, this is no cost to our scholars and families, and registration is open at crimsports.org. And then we have a soccer camp coming up, partnering with Flint Style Soccer, and that's on June 21st, and that's for 6 to 14-year-old students to participate. And then finally, the Greater Flint Olympian Games. Registration is open. This is a great opportunity to compete locally at a very low cost. And we're providing sporting opportunities for youth to adults in areas such as archery, baseball, basketball, bowling, cornhole, darts, flag football, golf, gymnastics, ice hockey, pickleball, swimming, and many other opportunities. Again, this is open for youth and adults, so there's something for everyone, and that's at crimsports.org. In order for students, our youth, to participate in CANUSA, they would have to participate in the Flint Olympian Games to be identified to advance to that international competition that will take place in the early part of August. So we want to encourage as many students to participate in the Flint Olympian Games so we can have students advance to compete against our sister city, Hamilton, from Canada. And I just would like to lift previously our percentage of Flint students who've participated in the Flint Olympian Games in CANUSA was 39%, and our goal is to increase the number of Flint scholars who are participating. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful evening.
Thank you so much. Our next speaker, do we have anyone else?
Yes, Arthur Woodson. I find it really strange how the lady before me was able to get up here and say a name. As soon as I said a name, all hell broke loose. But it's okay, though, because I've been doing this for over 8 years, and I've been here doing this, and not one time have I haven't been treated like this before, so it's okay. All the women that has challenged this one trustee on this board were all black. You have the former superintendent filed a lawsuit against this board for hostile work environment from the board. You have Ms. Don Prey, who was the CFO, who resigned. You have Vera Perry, former trustee, who resigned. You have Danielle Green. You have Carol McIntosh, all with this same person. And that same trustee demonstrated what happened the day of that incident. See, let's tell the truth about everything, right? Unwanted touching is the same as assault. When you jump up and you touch someone in a way, unwanted touching is assault. And that person have a right to defend themselves. Did you really see what really happened? Because it was said that I was in the parking lot, but that morning I was in Lansing with my granddaughter. It was said that I was stalking and I was doing all kinds of things, but couldn't prove it at court the other day, so the PPO was dismissed. A whole bunch of lies. Oh, a whole bunch of blood everywhere. Where was it? Where was it? Y'all just got distorted, because what I saw last week on what y'all voted on 4-1, comments was made that if we don't get this, if we don't pay the legal fees, they're gonna bring civil lawsuit. That's extortion. If you don't do what I say, I'm gonna sue you. So you better put a legal fees there. Let me say this to you, and I hope one of the trustees put a motion on the floor, because the motion is always in order to be fair, that Ms. Green get her legal fees paid also, because she's not the assaultant, she's the victim. Yes, I said that. And I hope the trustees say what they told me on the phone the day of it happening, because a lawyer cannot take you in a room and tell you what to write down on your statement. You cannot do that. And it's sad, and let me say this real quick. It's sad that you was an activist and you always did the same thing to other elected officials, and now that you on the other side, you want to try to silence a person with a PPO. Thank you.
Is there any more Comments from the public? Thank you. Quick announcement, the Board of Education will hold its next board committee of the whole meeting on Wednesday, July the 13th, 2022 at 6:30 p.m. here at ALA. Also, we have the workshop continuation meeting tomorrow. I believe it's at 5:30. It's at 5:30. The vacant property workshop continued tomorrow at 5:30. Do any board member have any comments before we adjourn? Chris Demaroni.
Board President, what was that first meeting you gave reference to?
The first meeting?
Yeah, that you just gave reference.
Okay, we having our next meeting Wednesday, July the 13th. That's going to be at 6:30.
Okay.
And then tomorrow, we're still working on the vacant property. And that's when we're going to have to make some decisions, the board as a whole. Well, we're going to look at what building that we might want to keep in case for the new schools that we're going to build. We're going to be discussing that, as well as having the discussion about what we're going to do with properties, and are we going to do any in-kind type of help the community. We just approved the community partnership agreement, and that's one of the things that would allow us to work with the community. So tomorrow at 6:30, bring all your data with you that you have, maps. We're going to try to find that map because that was a good map. Hope we can get that map, have all your data and everything we need for tomorrow. I don't think we need the big board package, but everything that we need. And let's be prepared to discuss, make decisions, what we're going to do, and how we're going to move forward.
I just wanted to say to Executive Assistant Monica Elston, thank you so kindly for your professionalism, and you endured my lack of inexperience in some of these matters, and you helped me a great deal. And so I appreciate that. You didn't have to do that. I don't think they pay you for that, because if they do, they need to up your pay. But thank you, Sister Monica, so kindly. And she always knew how to get you kind of going in the right direction. And I always said, just give me a little knowledge and I'll get the rest on my own. And she took advantage of that. She said, well, you got to read that, Pastor Gilbert. I said, I will, and I did, and I really appreciate that. It means a great deal to me. And she handled me with kid gloves, as old as I am. And certainly, Sister Monica, I appreciate that. I even told my wife about it. And I showed a picture of Sister Monica to my wife. First thing my wife said was, I love her hair. I said, I think we all do. And so, thank you so kindly for your kindness and professionalism.
I would like to thank you, Monica. Thank you, thank you. I really didn't want to be here, but I listened to Monica. I took her advice. I took her training. I love her integrity. I'm now a level 1 certified MASB board member. I have mastered the level 1. I'm working on level 2. And that's why I learned so much working with the MASB, working with Monica, showing me how to be a good board member. One thing I appreciate about Monica, and I say this public, she never once talked about her board members. She trained me to be, even when I see it, just learn how to be the better person. And I had asked her to come back one day, hopefully. She's kind of agreeing to come back as a consultant to the board. That's a lot of experience, a lot of history, and a lot of stuff that we have to learn. Hopefully she do like Carrie Sikowski. And I just want to thank you for your leadership. Congratulations to your Educator Leadership Award as well. Thank you so much.
I would like to thank Monica as well, you know, as being still a little new member on this board. I have gained a lot of knowledge from Monica. She has been very patient. She had provided me with everything all the information that I requested about the board and past history, I put it like that. And I also like to say to my fellow board members, I think we accomplished a lot in the last 2 weeks, and I'd like to see this continue. Thank you.
Thank you. Any more comments? Seeing no further business of the board, I declare the regular meeting adjourned. It is now, my phone is dead. It is now 8:20.